As soon as I got on here, I have a smile on my face because we are live. 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 Awesome. I want to make sure my connection is good. Lighting is great. But I'm just waiting for my guest. And we can go ahead and get started for tonight. If you've popped in here, you can definitely send this live to 3 people and let them know that we are live. I'm gonna send it out as I wait for my guest. I'm very excited about this evening. I think the topics and the subjects that I have in mind are places where I'm at mentally or spiritually. So I think our guest for tonight, who has a great deal of experience, I'm excited to see what she's going to share. Hey guys, what's going on? Come on in, come on in, come on in. I want to make sure that you guys can see me. I'm not skipping or anything. So if I'm good to go, you can just go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat and let me know. Because sometimes I be skipping and it doesn't show up until after I play back the live video. So let me know that I'm good. If y'all can drop some 1s. I'm not skipping. I'm not lagging. Connection is great. I actually see our guest for tonight. Awesome. I see the 1s. Okay, Kylie, I'm about to request for you to come on here. So you should see it pop up on your screen. Sent it.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So let me make sure that my head can actually fit in the camera. But you look great. You're glowing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You are so beautiful. I haven't really seen you
Yeah, that I was going to say something to that extent. Once we hopped on. For everyone that does not know, I actually know Kylie from college. So I know we never I guess talked or hey, how you doing? So even seeing you now, I'm like, whoa, hi.
Yeah.
But it's definitely great to see you. You sound good. How was your day?
I had a really nice day. It's my day off and I spent it doing things that bring me pleasure. How are you?
My day was a little bit rough in the beginning. I was a little bit in pain, so I actually had to leave work early, but I ate, took some medicine, so I'm all good to go. I'm very, very excited for just our conversation tonight. And let me just tell you the reason why I wanted to do this live with you is because even though I don't know you, I have been following you on Instagram for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right. And I do have to say that you have a story, and I'm very intrigued by that, just to see how your life's been, how your journey's been, especially getting into something like yoga and teaching it. I just wanted to hear from you, like I said, hear your story, hear your views, your perspectives on things, especially when it comes to healing and mental wellness, which I feel like is something that is in your story. No, am I
You are. Yeah. No, I think mental health it's that little backstory in all of our lives, it's there. We have to navigate our relationship with ourself. And that is what affects our mental health ultimately, to me.
Yeah, for sure. So For all of our new guests here, this is a lot that I do every single week. I bring on different kind of guests, and this is for you as well, Kylie. I bring on different guests, and we do speak on things as far as mental wellness, financial wellness as well. You know, just getting different views and seeing how everyone's background differentiates, right? So just for you, like I said, we both went to college. We graduated from UNCG, and there are a plethora of things that I want to get into for tonight. So I'll just ask you, how has it been for you since you've, like, what have you been up to? Let the people know who you are and what you do.
All right. So after I graduated from UNCG, I moved to Fort Myers, Florida. I did an almost year-long internship there, and then COVID happened. At Florida Repertory Theater is where I did my internship. And then COVID happened, internship got cut short. I moved back home for a little while and ultimately made the decision to move to Atlanta during the pandemic because I had to get out of home. I had to be out of North Carolina. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it.
I feel you.
Yeah.
And then now you are a yoga teacher. So how in the world did you get into that?
So it actually is extremely tethered to my acting work and life as an actor. I moved to Atlanta to pursue acting. The industry is alive here, growing here. And when I moved here, I didn't really have any connections. I didn't do my internship here. And I was submitting for film stuff, but really still finding my voice as an actor. Like, what kind of stories do I really care about telling? Professionalism stuff, making sure that my setup is good, all these things that you have to navigate at the beginning of a career. And it was hard. And I think it's hard for every actor, that transition out of school where you're getting to perform all the time and it's great. And you're like, I love this. This is forever. And then you get on the real world and it's like, yeah, there's 1,000 other people who feel the exact same way that you do. And we all want the same job.
Yeah. So I think that's where we can start as far as finding yourself as an artist. It is hard because you think that you have a good idea of what you want to portray or what you want to present, and you think you have a good idea of how to be in pursuit of things. And then when you graduate, for me, I was like, I knew that pursuing acting wasn't something that I wanted to do immediately. I don't think I still know why, quite honestly. But creating content and doing things like these, and even getting into the comedic side of myself was something that I wanted to do. But finding yourself as an artist, what do you think is like the most difficult part of that? Because it may, some people may relate in that sense, and if you are one of those people, you can definitely drop it in the comments. But what's your, I guess, take on that? What was the difficult part for you?
I guess finding my voice as an actor, I think, and maybe you had this experience in undergrad, I got a sense of like my type and like what sort of roles attracted me, but it wasn't until my internship that I really got to work on stuff I felt passionate about, like telling stories that I was like, yeah, like this is a story that I think needs to be told, a story that I want to help tell. I got to work on a couple of Southern drama pieces in my internship, a queer piece, a world premiere. And I just kind of realized that like that was something that those are stories that I identify with and stories that I think should be told and that I want to help tell. And then you get out and you have this idealistic version of yourself, right? Of like, oh, these are the stories I want to tell. And then it sort of can become like, oh, well, I just got to get a job. Like, I just got to book something. And that can be a little soul sucking, when it's supposed to be your job. And it doesn't matter if I care about this product I'm trying to sell, or I care about this story, or it's just like, a day player role in something that maybe you don't really feel like you fit that, but you're still going to submit because you want to get that job. Right. And for me, and this kind of ties into where I found yoga, I had about this time last year, like full blown existential crisis. Like, what am I doing? Mid-20s are here. Yeah. And I found that, I wasn't,
Yes.
I might get some callbacks, but I'm not booking. I'm not doing things that are bringing me passion. And especially coming from a theater background, that the exchange of energy that happens between you and the audience, between you and your castmates, is a really hard thing to describe. It's like when you're on stage and you're there in the moment, it's like channeling God. And that's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah.
And so not having that in my life for so long, I needed something that was for me. I needed to fill my own cup. My roommate, actually, who went to school with us as well for a little while, she said to me last summer, she was like, hey, maybe you should just like set acting on the back burner. It's still gonna be on, simmering in the back, but like you gotta do something else for yourself. I was like, well, are you telling me to give up on my dreams? Like, what is this? And she's like, oh, you just have to have something for you. And I had for a long time been interested in yoga, dabbled in yoga, and wanted to have the knowledge to be able to practice on my own, to be able to create a sequence for myself and have a get up in the morning and do it on my own, let it be part of my spiritual practice. And then I did teacher training and I loved it. And I love the company that I work for. I'm very, very lucky. And yeah, I started working there for like free once a week in exchange for free yoga. And then I did the teacher training, and then they hired me as a manager and a teacher. And I'll be going full time with them starting in a few weeks when the new studio opens. Yeah. And it feels really good to have a job I go to every day where I'm getting to talk about real important things with people, people who are like-minded, where we care about our bodies, we care about our mental health, our growth as individuals. Yoga is so much about your growth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get to have that exchange, that energetic exchange with my students. It feels similar to performing, honestly, teaching classes, memorizing the script and improving with them and working with them as you see someone doing this, helping them find their comfort in their bodies. Yeah. And relationship with body and mind is so strong for me, very specifically. Like, so yeah, I'll let you redirect now, but a lot of that kind of stuff.
No, it's a lot of good stuff. And Steve is actually watching this right now. He said soul sucking 100%, and that's actually what I wrote down on my notes. So if you saw me like looking down, I'm just looking down at my notes and stuff. But I think what I'm getting from everything that you said is actually something that I am coming into terms with now, as far as, I don't know, like presenting yourself or putting yourself out there, or it's that, and having a specific idea of what the entertainment industry is or the movie industry is. You think that like, I saw like, and not saying that I have any experience in there, but I think I get the idea of it because lately I have had experiences where I've had ideas of people, like had a certain idea of people because of the way that they presented themselves on social media or on Zoom or whatever the case may be. But then when you actually meet them, it's something completely different. So I say that to say that when I am trying to find myself as an artist, or I had this idea of what it would be to maybe tape and try to really pursue it, you do get that understanding that there's something I need to do to feel myself. Like there's something I need to find for myself that makes me feel good. There's real topics and real life going on that I want to seek more before going over here, because quite honestly, if you don't do any soul searching, then the industry can be soul sucking in a sense. And so you're just kind of like losing yourself in that way. So I 100% agree with you, and I think it's something that everyone should kind of invest into before really I don't know, becoming involved or delving into something that's going to take a lot from you, or take a lot of you,
Yeah.
in a sense. I hope that makes sense.
No, it totally does. It totally does. And I think especially when you go to school for acting, for theater, like, oh, well, just resign yourself to being a waitress for the rest of your life, or like
Yeah.
whatever. Like, you always have to be available. And I don't jive with that, man. Like, I've had
Yeah.
some jobs over the last few years that I'm like, I effing hate this. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot do this. Is killing me.
Hmm.
And yeah, teaching yoga, there's flexibility there. Being in the fitness industry, like, I've never been in better shape and felt better about myself, which is an important part of being an actor, like it or not. Like, it is
Okay.
about how you appear. And so it's helped me heal my relationship with my body so much, like growing my self-esteem, just being around this constant sense of growth.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I do think it's important to find something that brings you joy. If that thing can also help you make some money and help you find like an ounce of stability and comfort while you're in this industry, that it may never happen. It could happen
Hmm.
tomorrow. It could happen 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good you are. It matters how you network. And it matters if you get the right tape sent into the right person at the right time. There's so much luck involved with it. And it's hard to not take it personally. So you got to have something else that fills your cup.
Absolutely. How do you say, or how am I trying to ask it? How important do you think it is that people have that awareness before, um, I don't know, before they get into the world of like presentation, or like in the world of presenting something like being an actress or maybe a music, because you're standing before people that are judging you. Essentially,
Right.
they're like, okay, you're good enough in this area, you're good in that, good enough in
Mm-hmm.
that area. But then
Mm-hmm.
there's some people that, like you just said, it may happen tomorrow, it may take 10 years from now. But it's that value of time, like that time. People think like, hello, I'm getting famous today. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
my question is, how important do you think it is, or what ways is it important for people to have that awareness before, um, jumping in? I would say before jumping in.
I mean, I think it depends on the person. Like, if you know how hard it's going to be before you start, you may never start. And I think our
Mm.
professors warned us a lot. Like, it's going to suck. Like, your job's going to be auditioning. Like, get ready to suffer. But you don't know. You don't know until it's happening to you. There's literally nothing that could prepare you for like the dejection that comes
Yeah.
inevitably with acting. And like, you as an individual, if you want to be in this field, you have to be able to cope with that
Yeah.
and change the relationship you have with yourself. If you want to be in this field and also be like a mentally healthy person, then you have to be willing to like,
That's the part, to be in this field
right,
and be
right,
mentally healthy. That
yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah, you've got to be willing to uh, fill your own cup and be honest with yourself about that stuff. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Do you think that there is a stigma that's around, individuals who are fresh out of college and getting into the ropes of, getting into auditions?
I mean, I think if you go to a school where your professors are very well connected and those connections start paying off for you immediately after graduation, then like you're golden. But if you graduate from a school where those connections don't exist, you have to go out and make them yourself. And you do that
Mhm.
through interning, you do that through working like shitty jobs. Sorry for my language, but like
It's
it,
all good.
it's that is a really, it's so subjective, like how quickly
Yeah.
you're going to make it. You never know what party you're going to be at. You never know which friend you're going to meet, or which random audition for some random casting director. They're going to be like, you were exactly what we imagined in our head. It's just so much chance.
It
um
is.
but yeah, there's stigma around it as an individual, like, you know, moving through your daily life of like, yeah, I'm an actor, and no, I haven't been in anything you would have seen, but that I'm still an actor.
Right.
You know?
That's something that I want to do, though.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yes, and I did that too. And for those people who are listening, because this is not only for the people that are tuning in now, but for the people that are going to watch this, and who come across it, it's very real. And if you experience it, you go through the emotions of it, do understand that it's like, own your emotions. Like, if this, you don't have to do anything. Like, no one's going to take you to jail because you're not doing what you thought you were going to be doing, or you're not at where you thought you were at. Just take your time, because most things, I've been listening to this audiobook. It's called The Psychology of Money. But it doesn't just talk about money. It just addresses a lot of behaviors, addresses a lot of like thinking patterns. His name is Morgan Housel, and he says, nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. So when it comes to this industry, or maybe this idea in our head that like we have to be the best and we always have to be up to something and doing something, that's not always the reality. So like you said, on the day-to-day basis, like, what are you doing to, I guess, essentially take care of yourself? Like, I don't know, keep yourself sane in this crazy world when everyone's telling you, you got to be here and you got to be doing this and this is how you got to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things are very important. But to kind of transition into now the work that you're doing now as a yoga teacher, what's the because I read this in your bio. It was yoga, and then it was healing arts. Yeah. What do you think is, let's make this personal. What has yoga, even if you don't mind sharing, what has yoga personally healed for you? Like, maybe in like what areas or aspects of your lives has it forced you to confront and be like, okay, this is something about me. This is something that maybe I need to change, or, you know what I'm saying? But in what areas have you had to confront because of
Well, so I have chronic pain. I injured myself doing tour in college, and it was just like an overexertion injury, and it took me a really long time to identify like how it started even, and like why and what was it. And it still is kind of like unnamed chronic pain. There's like a couple things I've researched and I'm like, I think that's it. But basically age 19, I start like not being able to walk, like limping, like in pain all the time. I gained a lot of weight my last few years of school. I was like really unwell mentally as well. And yoga was the one thing that I could sustainably do, like exercise wise, that didn't exacerbate the pain or, and it teaches me about my body, right? I'm doing yoga. I'm learning about my muscles and how I control them, and the minuscule ways in which you can adjust your muscles and feel your breath and where it travels in you and how it expands you, and it gives you this sense of control over your body, but also this sense of oneness with it. Like it's not just this like shell that you're not a puppet. And yoga means unity. So it brings you to that place. And I have found that by finding that comfort, that sense of home in my body, I'm also taking that practice with me throughout my days, like thinking about my reactions to things and like learning about my own psychology, my mind, which is also interesting to me. And the practice, truly, it all goes hand in hand. And like, life's a journey, right? Like, we're all just trying to be a better version of ourselves today than we were yesterday. And sometimes navigating those transitions is messy. And I mean, like, I certainly feel that way right now in my life and in some regards. And all you can do is have grace with yourself and
absolutely
trust that you're learning, and next time you'll be better.
For sure. I definitely agree. I feel like yoga is, for me too, one of those things that I can enjoy actively, because I'm not like all right, let's get in the gym, do some muscles, and, you know,
Neither.
ups and all that kind of stuff. Like I think my emotions can get trapped in my body a lot of
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
And yoga is that one thing to where I can focus on my breath. I can focus from the internal and then focus onward or outward. And it releases a lot for me. So I think you kind of answered it too, because I was like, well, what has it done for you, like mentally and psychologically? And it's opened up, like, I think on psychological terms, I think that's something, yes, Mo. This is Mo, somebody that I know from an organization, but he said 10 minutes of yoga with Cassandra changed my life. And she's actually who I do yoga with, Cassandra. She's somebody that's on YouTube. I do
Okay.
it a lot. But just waking up the psychological, like understanding the way that you think, not just looking at the thoughts that you have, but analyzing them and thinking like, why do I think this way?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even for you right now, and we can kind of answer this before we move into our next thing, but right now I'm in a place where I am really trying to understand my trauma, understand the way that I think, and I don't like to say the word, but the A word, ANXIETY. That word I don't like to say it anymore. It was actually recommended to me by a friend, but yeah, understanding how those things work through my body and through doing yoga or through doing meditation is open up my body to where it's opened up my throat chakra. So I'm able to express myself more. Like, even if you look at my page right now, there have been a lot of things that I have been vocal about, and that's who I am naturally, just like to share my thoughts. But beforehand, I wasn't able to do that because you have so much stuff that's just locked up and everything. So I think that's why and I can probably say this for you as well. I think this is why we have an appreciation for yoga, because it makes you aware in the way that you need to be. Like, sometimes we can be too focused on the external, be too focused on other people, be too focused on standards that we're supposed to reach, or ideals that we're supposed to reach, or other people's expectations, that we don't take a second to, wow, I'm breathing, and it's doing it all by itself. And oh wow, you know, I can breathe from my arm or breathe through my fingers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad that this is something that you have become passionate about and something that you're sharing with other people. And like I said, having that type of exchange in your work. So definitely congratulations to all the work that you've done. I know that's a big deal.
Thank you. And I did want to say, just like dropping it in here, that like, once I did allow myself to focus on something other than like acting as my personality and what brought me purpose, like,
right,
I started getting more callbacks, and I actually booked my first like SAG co-star like on a TV series, and I filmed that last month. So like, it works, you know what I mean? Like, you let it go and it comes back. And the better you are with yourself, the more that shows up in your work.
Yeah, I think it's the understanding how to identify yourself outside of an actor or an actress, or learning to identify yourself outside of a business person or an entrepreneur or an artist.
It's okay to be more than one thing. People make us feel like we have to pigeonhole her, and especially like, and you know, you look at my Instagram, it's like, who is she? Niche, that whole thing. Like, I'm like, oh, let me be what I am. You know what I mean? What?
I'm like, I don't know, just follow along. What do you propose? Like,
come on for the ride.
For sure. We're forever changing. Now, as we kind of take a shift into things, one thing I always like to spark conversation about is our idea of financial wellness. For me, it's something that I've become very passionate about within the last couple of years, being exposed to learning how to multiply my money, or, you know, make it work for me, and being able to identify goals that I'd like to achieve with a certain amount of money. Being exposed or confronting confronting those things, I found that there was like a lack of conversation, in ignorance, I guess you can say, with just financial understanding. Like there are people that essentially don't know how to budget their money or manage their money. Then there's
financial illiteracy is what I call
exactly exactly, and it comes up in especially when you're becoming an artist and you're pursuing whatever work that entails, if it's a actor or if it's a music artist, or maybe you're playing an instrument, you have this stigma of like a struggling artist, like let me work this job over here and let me try
that
to
I hate. Yeah.
as I get to the top thing to eventually get the big bucks or whatever like that. So
yeah,
I guess for me, what has your relationship been with money? Like, how do you think of it?
I love that you asked this question. I've been working on that for a while in myself. It is something I still actually am like actively seeking therapy for. Money is a necessary evil in this world, and it is, unfortunately, we live in a country where the arts are not like supported by the government. It is really hard to get work as an artist and to get sustainable work as an artist, and you really have to make it for yourself, and you have to learn how to be a business person. I mean, it truly, like, it becomes your business. You have to be able to sell yourself. You have to be able to sell whatever services you can render, and advocate for yourself in that regard. So yeah, I definitely think that, like, part of, and it all ties together, right? Like, I was working jobs that I hated. Really, I didn't feel like I was making enough money for how much I hated it. It's just like, this is for what? And now, like, now that I am enjoying my work, like, that is not, like, what, I had a teacher tell me this once, and it stayed with me, and I try to remind myself of it, but he changed his career in his 40s and became a poet, and he's like a nationally renowned poet, and he just said, do what you love and the money will come. And he was so casual with that. And I was like, oh. And I remind myself sometimes, I'm like, okay, like, if you are doing things that make you feel good, if you are doing things that make you happy and are in service to whatever you believe your higher purpose to be, money will find you, because it's a resource to support you on your journey. Like, whatever your spiritual belief may be, like, whatever that source is for you, that thing you go to for guidance, like, it has your best interest in mind. It's going to give you what you need to elevate and share the message that you were put on this earth to share. So yes, money is something that is hard, but I guess I'm just working on viewing it as a resource and less of a ball and chain. Yeah.
And having that I guess you could say healthy attachment to it. Like, if you do look at it as like a resource, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I gotta have this in it. Like, you just become like, becomes an emotional attachment in a sense, which is understandable. Everybody has a level of emotional attachment to it. That's why hey, you owe me $5. It's $5. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, this is my money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm coming to look at it like that as well, because one thing, being exposed to so many ways to deal with money and to invest it, put it in places where it can grow, to where I'm not only thinking about myself, but once I decide to have kids, it'll be for them as well, and making it a resource for them, because it can be hard to get in understanding that money is just a simple surviving tool in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I just right quick, I remember I was talking to Steve. He was like one of my first lives, and he was explaining his kind of his psychology on money, and that the most basic things that are within this world, food, shelter, those are things that are held at a value. You have to have this amount of money to be able to access
To have your basic
food.
necessities.
Yes, your basic necessities. And so it just makes you think, was life supposed to be like this? Like, was man supposed to come to this idea to where we were going to start exchanging paper for each other and holding things at a value? And if you didn't have enough of this man-made thing, then you couldn't get it. So that's why we have millions of American, not even just Americans, but millions of people, millions and millions of people that are on the street that are dying because they don't have that basic necessity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in our community, that's why I'm so passionate about sparking those kind of conversations, because sometimes it can be a very taboo subject, like maybe, you know, not having enough, or, you know, I know we make jokes and memes about being broke and, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, but
Yeah.
if there is a way for people to tap into their psyche, maybe to tap into their mental, because I think it starts here before it has to grow here before it grows in your pocket. Like,
yes.
there's a stable place that you have to be within the mind, within the psyche, to be able to have the pocket stable and sustain in a sense. So my question for you is, what's maybe something within your community, and when I say your community, I mean maybe your family, your friends, maybe coworkers, what's something that's lacking in your community when it comes to financial literacy? Maybe something, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
Yeah, and it could be maybe there's certain conversations that are not had, or maybe it's the knowledge of, hey, this is how you save, or like this is how you manage, or hey, this is how you can think about money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, we did not really talk about money in my house growing up in that kind of way. It was like, in, you know, like 2008 sucked, and
It's not funny, but it's like, yeah,
like 2008 sucked, and I became a young adult at a time when my parents were stressed about money, and that soaked into me like a sponge. And my mindset on money is that there's not enough, and it ended up, you know, like you almost hoard it. Like you, I definitely grew up with this idea that I needed to, you know, that I was going to get married and have children and have to have a house and all that. The white picket fence was very, like, that was what I knew. That was what my parents were. That was what my grandparents were. But as I've come into my mid-20s and I'm looking at the state of the climate, I'm like, maybe not. Like, maybe I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, that resource that I've been squirreling away for someday, I'm like, well, how could I invest that into myself now? And like use that investment in myself now to like build a future that it could be completely different from the one I've imagined so far. You know, how do I build wealth for myself that I feel is saves me from needing a partner to share that with. Like, I would love to not feel like, oh, well, you know, one day I'm going to get married to someone and like that'll help us financially, and like our, you know, like I don't want to have to be tethered to someone else in order to have the things that I want. I don't want to have to work and then sacrifice all that for a family, you know. Like I don't know. I'm a little maybe unorthodox in that way.
No,
have been growing more towards that unorthodox extreme, which I think a lot of people our age are. As we look at the state of the world and think about like ethically, morally, like how do I feel about bringing a child into this, knowing that like the planet will be uninhabitable sooner than people want to admit. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. for sure. If you
Yeah.
are unorthodox in that way, I am too. I'm like, this is not about it. What it's about now is our peers, us being responsible and waking up and realizing that we were fed a certain image. Like, you go to college, you'll graduate, you'll get a good job, you'll find your husband or you'll find your wife, and then you'll have kids and then grow until you get old and then you die.
Yeah.
So it's this whole idea of like, this is the way that your life is set up. But then we're meeting reality. We're in a world right now where, again, the basic necessities are not being given, where it costs over 20K to have a child, to where you might be, not even might, there are in some states where you're forced to have a child because people want to impose their beliefs and religions on all people, to where the climate is not that great. Like, where it's so much going on right now, to where even, let's say, even if I didn't have kids, I couldn't necessarily be mad at myself, because I'm like, I'm realizing the state of the world right now. Like, a lot of people, even by myself, I have to make sure that I can afford an apartment. Like,
Right.
apartment,
Yeah.
the prices are rising, but the wage is not going up. I have to work two or three jobs and maybe find something that pays. It's just so it's so much. So that's why I say, like, it's things are getting. There are a lot of things. There's too much stuff happening for conversations not to be had, because I'm not only thinking about us, but I'm thinking about the teenagers that are growing up, the children that are growing up right now. Like, we have to be having those conversations, because it can prepare them in a way to where they're not like stressing, or maybe just like, it's not like a huge wake up call, but it was a part of you growing up. You saw the genuineness of things, like this is what it is. It's like, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, it's something that I've become more passionate about, and just really trying to understand how to make it work for me, and then just getting ideas of how other people think about it as well, and seeing what kind of conversations could be had about that. But I will say one thing. I'm just in a space right now where I'm putting together a community, to where one thing that we're focused on is that financial literacy, is the skill development of being able to multiply your money, being able to put it and understand where to put it so that your money can grow, being able to understand things like credit and how that can help you, and how credit is not a bad thing when you know how to work it. When you know how to work it, and you have this discipline, and you have this responsibility, it can actually be used in your favor, for sure. So that's what Project 22 is all about. It's just about establishing that community, like growing a community, to where it's about understanding financial wellness and how we can build and be sustainable with that, but then also equally prioritizing mental wellness as well, psychological wellness as well, because that's where it all starts, for sure. But I guess this will be my last question for you tonight. This is some AJ. I had AJ on here the other week. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And one thing that was it AJ that I was talking about? Well, yeah. We were talking about hustle culture.
Yes.
Hustle culture and capitalist culture. Do you follow Bunny Michaels? Bunny Michaels?
I don't think so. Who is it?
Oh, I'll share her profile with you, but she's like where we are, as far as like digging deep into the psychological and addressing a lot of like toxic ways in which we think and what we grew up on, and how we can kind of reverse that and recondition our minds. But what is maybe how have you heard of, or maybe been brought before the capitalist culture? What's your, fill me in. Where's Kylie's mind on that? No, seriously. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
yeah, like that's, I feel like you don't even have to say it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, just what you touched on it earlier, like college. We were fed this, you have to go to college. It's so expensive. And but if you go to college, you'll get a good job. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. That is not the case. It is very difficult to find a decent paying job with, you know, a liberal arts degree. And like, oh God, yeah, it's just terrible that people have to spend their days working, like the majority of your waking hours, you're working to make barely enough money to afford a box that you never get to spend enough time in because you're working. And if you want any earthly pleasures or luxuries, or if you want to travel, it's so unattainable. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the state that many people are living in. And I felt myself kind of getting sucked into that at one of my previous jobs before yoga. And I was like, no, like I can't, no. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people our age are recognizing that and trying to figure out ways to break the mold. Like how can I make money doing the things that I love? How can I marry work and pleasure? And how can I ultimately, like, I'm going to feel like my life has more existential value if I'm spending my days enjoying my work and feeling like I'm contributing to society versus just like having a paycheck to survive on. Yeah. And yeah, that's it.
Man, let me tell you, Kylie, part of my passion comes from experience within the hustle culture. It's it has its pros and it has its cons for sure, but hustle culture, you know, is all about motivation. Go, always in the move, don't stop, don't rest, and if you stop, that means you don't want it. Go. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I was in the midst of, I was in the beginning of my experience in building a community, and thinking that, you know, if I do it for this long and if I do it this consistently, then I'll be somewhere within this amount of time. But it bit me in the booty because the toxicity that it brought along is I had actually caught COVID back in August. And so it prevented me from, you know, working. And I knew it was a problem because the main thing that I was thinking was, you know, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I have COVID and I'm stopping now. In the position that I was in the community that I was in, I was looked up as a leader. So I'm like, okay, you know, the other people, they'll see me that I stopped, that I'm not working, and they'll think that I'm not enough. They'll think I'm not doing it, and they'll think I'm not really serious about my wealth. And I told my mom that I wanted to retire her, and I told her I wanted to take care. But if I'm not working, then I'm not doing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait a minute. Here I am, positive with COVID, where this virus is killing millions of people right now. Like, it's keeping families from seeing each other days on end. Like I said, it's killing people, and here I am thinking about what other people would think of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that was the con that I experienced because I got too caught up in the idea. Like, I think hustle culture represents an extremity, like it's on a spectrum, you know what I'm saying? So individuals who are, you know, like, I'm not gonna be all caught up in money and try to get all that, and are really finding things that they love and allowing the money to attract that way. I think that's the way to go. If that it means in our life that, you know, as we're nearing our time to go, and we can look back and say, if there's something that we could say that, oh, I lived, it wasn't because I got caught up in what society thought, or I got caught up in this idea. It was because that I figured life out. I figured my existence out. I figured out why I was here, and I decided to be happy and peaceful and to enjoy my time while I was here, for sure. So I think that's just because I am an entrepreneur. everyone's an entrepreneur in some type of way, especially as
Literally, find me one millennial, anyone from the age of like 24 to like 30 right now who's not an entrepreneur in some way. Like you won't,
like
you won't find one.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of people that's, we're getting really creative. If it's, maybe some type of products, if it's clothes, if it's stuff that we're making, like I will say that that's one thing about us. Like we're very creative and very passionate, wanting to bring something to the table, I guess, but bring something to the community. Like, here's what I'm making, guys. If it's food, I don't know, people, we're going crazy. We're going absolutely bonkers right now, for sure. But for those people that maybe get caught up in that, I guess, extremity on that spectrum, I don't know, have you personally like experienced it yourself, or you feel like you've been on one end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, I recently actually was like kind of overworking myself at the yoga studio. And my boss actually was like, you can relax. And I was like, thank you. It was funny. I had another friend, a coworker, who was like, just chill out for like 5 seconds. Just breathe. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can, because I had convinced myself that if I wasn't like doing the most all the time, that my value would immediately depreciate. And that like, I felt like I needed that to constantly be proving my worth to these people I valued. And that happens in many aspects of life, but it was happening to me in work. And I was grateful that my coworkers are more than just coworkers. They're friends, and that they like care about my well-being. Again, love this company. Very happy about like the world I've stumbled into. So yeah, I did have people to say like, hey, just checking in. Maybe you can relax a little bit. I'm like, yeah. Like,
and it's so good to have people like that as well, to give you that.
Gotta have people like that in your life.
It's okay, calm down. And for everyone that's tuned in and watching right now, you guys can definitely drop your feedback, your opinions on the capitalist culture and hustle culture and everything like that. Because let me tell you, it's not for me. I'll say that, and evidently it's not for Kylie as well.
For the birds, that's who it's for.
Yeah, for sure, for the birds. But as we go ahead and wrap it on up, Kylie, because this has been great. It's just a lot of good stuff going on, and a lot of good combo. I guess my question for you, and you can think about maybe the people who aren't in the best of mental states or mindsets. Maybe they haven't found something like yoga that can release them in that way, or maybe they haven't found the permission to be okay and to not always do or say or think what society does. But my question is, I have it written down here. What's one thing that can make you say that you're living right now?
Something that makes me like,
well, does the question make sense?
No.
Okay. Like, this, I guess it's that idea of like, I'm living. Maybe something that brings you peace.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? So even just, and maybe I'll let you answer that. But yes, what's something that can make you say that?
Genuinely for me, and again, like, this is a little woo-woo spiritual, and everyone has a different relationship with that, but like I feel very strongly that there is a relationship that we all have individually with some sort of like energetic source, God, karma, universe, like whatever. I certainly know that the times in my life that I have felt the best and have felt like they go well are times when I'm attuned to that. times when I have that connection is strong, and be that through self-reflection, using like occult practices, prayer, like whatever helps you find that. And yoga lives there for me, and just in terms of feeling that energetic connection.
Yeah.
I think that if you can find that for yourself, that whatever feeds that is the thing to pursue and the thing to focus on. Because yeah, we all get that God feeling, that feeling that you're channeling something bigger than yourself. And to me, that's where you find, yeah, your purpose. So yes, that is the answer to that question. When I feel alive, it's when I feel like I'm moving with Creator.
Awesome. And I definitely agree. That's when I know I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. Like I'm connected right now. I'm checked in for sure. Well, if anybody that's viewing this video doesn't have any questions or any further comments, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Kylie, I want to say thank you for hopping on this live.
Thank you so much for asking me.
Yes, no problem. I was like, yes, there are some people that I've been paying attention to for sure, and just really wanted to tap in with. So it was really good to connect with you, to feel your energy, and just to hear your perspective on everything for sure. So I wish you the best. I hope you continue to do great and be great. You know where I'm at. Look, we got each other's numbers now. So
yes,
whatever the case is.
Yes, it's so exciting to see what you're up to see this like community that you're cultivating. I think that these are important conversations to be had, and we get to see people from all different walks of life having them.
For sure.
So thank you for allowing me to be part of the conversation, and I am looking forward to continuing to see what you're cultivating.
Yes, awesome. Y'all have a great rest of the evening, and
thanks, y'all.
Bye. Y'all have a good weekend.